WLQL TV 63.
Oh, hi everyone. I didn't notice you there while my brain was reactivating. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show. What the heck is this? What, piece of paper? Oh, a note. It's a note. Dear Monster, because you ditched me on Halloween last week to go trick-or-treating and made me host the show myself, I'm going to punish you tonight by making you watch Night of the Living Dead for the 8th time because I know you hate it so much. Your evil maker, Dr. Frankenjoe. P.S. I ate the last of your Tootsie Rolls too, you chump. What? What? You mean I gotta watch Night of the Living Dead again? That scoundrel, he knows I hate that movie. But joke's on him, I actually love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. But he's such a dummy, he thinks I hate it, so he thinks it's a punishment to make me watch it. Oh, wait a minute, did he say he ate the rest of my trick-or-treat candy too? Oh, that jerk. Oh, I was looking forward to that candy. Oh well, say la viva or whatever. I guess we should just get to the movie like the note said. Tonight's movie is Night of the Living Dead, the very first zombie movie ever made. Well, I guess except White Zombie. That came out a long time before it. And I Walked with a Zombie. And Astro Zombies came out a couple months before Night of the Living Dead, so... Well, anyway, it's the first movie that had zombies the way we have zombies now, where it's just dead people eating live people. And none of that voodoo stuff or space crap. So let's just get to Night of the Living Dead. Let me tune it in here on my crazy science device and... Oh! Ow! I see he turned that up a little bit from... He must be mad about last week. Oh, there we go.
But we
I don't know! I don't know! What's happening?
Welcome back, everyone. Well, Night of the Living Dead. What is there to say about this movie that hasn't been said a million times before? I mean, that crazy guy attacked that girl Barbara in the cemetery, and then he killed her brother Johnny. Then he chased her to that weird farmhouse, and then Ben came in the truck, and they went inside and locked themselves in, and they started to check the place out. But it looks like that Barbara's starting to go a little crazy. This movie was directed by the really great horror film guy, George Romero. You might remember a couple of years ago, he directed a movie made with him and Stephen King called Creepshow. That movie's got a bunch of stories in it. Like this one with this crazy farmer guy, and he finds a meteor and it turns him into a plant. You know, I found a meteor once. It didn't turn me into a plant. It just turned my 8th grade science project from a D to a B minus. I love Creepshow. And George Romero's made a bunch of other great movies too, like the one called The Crazies, that's about a chemical leak that causes the whole town of people to go crazy. Or there's the one about Martin, and it's about a guy named Martin, and he might be a vampire, or he might just be crazy. Or what about the one about those crazy guys who dress up like knights and ride around on motorcycles? I don't remember what that one's called because I never saw it. And then what about Dawn of the Dead? That's the one about the people hiding out in a shopping mall from the zombies, and then they're so safe, they just start to get kind of bored and go a little crazy. Well, at least until a bunch of bikers show up and break into the mall, and those bikers, they're so crazy they have a pie fight with zombies. And then a bunch of them start getting eaten because they're dummies who have crazy things like pie fights with zombies instead of just cutting all the zombies' heads off. I wonder if that was the same group of biker gangsters that was in the one about the knights. And if so, what did they do with their knight armor? You'd think that'd come in pretty handy if you're in a mall full of zombies. And the new movie he just put out earlier this year is another zombie movie called Day of the Dead. That's the one about a bunch of scientists and army guys hiding out in an army base from some zombies, and they all go crazy. Like one of them is this crazy mad scientist guy, kind of like my maker, Dr. Frankenjoe. And he's experimenting on all the zombies. He even teaches one of them to talk on a phone. Man, George Romero makes a lot of movies about crazy people. Anyway, we gotta go to a commercial break right now, but please stay tuned for more of Night of the Living Dead.
This Saturday, WLQL Sports presents The Battle of the WLQL Stars, featuring many of your favorite personalities from WLQL TV and radio. Mitch Pishner, Claudette Monroe, Rick Klotzhammer, Brian Grease, Carol Hefner.
Hey, Joe, look at all the bundles I found over here.
Hey, be careful. No telling what's in those things.
Yeah, I think I found the load.
Watch out. That thing might be booby-trapped.
Sheriff Patrol, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on WLQL TV 63.
Hey, welcome back to Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show. Man, zombies sure do hate headlights for some reason. Did you see that one smashing the headlights with a rock? I mean, wait a minute. Can zombies use rocks as tools? I mean, are we sure these are undead zombies and not just some country farm weirdos? You know, it's okay for me to poke fun at country farm weirdos, because where I live here in Wisconsin, there's a whole ton of them. They're everywhere. They're our friends, they're family, they're us. Oh my God, that's just like in all these zombie movies. The zombies aren't the monsters are us, the people. Oh, you and me. Well, mostly you, because I'm not even a person. I'm an actual monster, so I can't be a metaphorical monster. But I think with all the weirdos that watch this show, there's a pretty good chance that some of you people out there have done some pretty horrible stuff. But anyway, I sure hope all these people in this movie are zombies, because Ben sure is beating the crap out of them and stabbed them in the head and stuff. But who can blame them? I mean, did you see that crazy looking one who was coming up behind Barbara? That guy definitely had some major problems even before he became an undead ghoul. But you know what? They're doing pretty good, actually, Ben and Barbara. I mean, they figured out that zombies don't like headlights, and they're afraid of fire, and they got the house boarded up a little bit with some boards nailed to the windows and stuff, and then they kind of told each other a little bit about their stories. But, you know, Barbara sure seems to be cracking up, though. But, you know, the poor lady did see her brother get his head cracked open on that tombstone. I bet that would mess anybody up. If I wanted to find out, I bet I could ask some of the friends of the villagers whose heads I cracked open on tombstones the last time I escaped the castle and see if they're messed up. Anyway, remember when I was talking about George Romero and his new movie Day of the Dead? Well, after that, Terrance, my producer, and this goofy camera guy over here, they were asking me how I got to see it, because it was really hard to find in the movie theaters. You know why it was? Because the dummies in the Hollywood movie rating place, they decided they were going to give Day of the Dead a rating X, like some sort of weird foreign porno movie. But George Romero, he told them to pound sand, and he said, I'm going to release it with no rating at all. But this meant that no regular movie theaters would show it anyways, so it wound up just playing in little weirdo theaters that just show stuff like foreign porno movies. And even though I know they play all those Emmanuel movies all the time, no matter how much I begged, the local theater, the Broadway Cinema, would not play Day of the Dead. They wanted to keep playing Brewster's Millions because it was making too much money. Why'd all you dummies keep going to see Brewster's Millions so much? I mean, that's all they played for 4 months. So I had to drive for a few hours to go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to see Day of the Dead at this sleazy little movie theater called the Oriental. But you know what? It was kind of fun to see it there. And then afterwards, I got to stay and watch a really late night showing of this other crazy movie called the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But then I got kicked out halfway through Rocky Horror Picture Show. There were all these people yelling and talking so loud, I kept telling them to shut up, and then I hollered at them really loud, and the manager of the theater came in and he made me leave. Well, I guess we gotta go to another commercial break, so we'll be right back after this with more of Night of the Living Dead. No, if anyone should have had to leave, it should have been those jerks.
Hey, you.
Talking to me?
Yeah, look, they don't allow bikes in the park. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So you asked me. You did your job. Good for you.
Motorbike Rebels, Saturday at noon on WLQL, TV
I don't
63.
want any trouble, all right?
Hey, welcome back to Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of...
Oh man, I sure hope the owners of this house are actually dead and not just on vacation or something, because then they're going to come home and see all their tables nailed to the walls and their chair burned up on the back lawn and stuff. And then Ben went upstairs and he found that dead gross lady up there. Hey, why isn't that lady upstairs walking around as a zombie? I've seen zombies in way worse condition than that in other movies. Like in Day of the Dead, there's a zombie with his whole bottom jaw ripped off, and there's another one that doesn't even have a head around his brain. He's just a brain at the end of his neck, but he's still alive because he's a zombie. Anyway, can you believe those jerks were hiding out in the basement this whole time, and they didn't even come up to help board up the windows or fight the zombies or nothing? And then when everything calms down, they finally come up, they start acting like they own the joint. They're lucky Ben didn't blast him with that rifle he found in the closet. I probably would've, especially that bald guy. He looks like a real creepy weirdo. And did you hear that old-timey radio news broadcast they were listening to? That sure takes me back to listening to my dad's old radio show when I was a kid. People sure talk funny back then. But, we actually did learn something important about the zombies finally. They eat people. I mean, at least that's what the old-timey news radio guy was saying. We haven't actually seen it in a movie yet, I don't think. I don't think we have. I mean, we all know that now, that zombies eat the flesh of their victims, because that's the way it is in all the zombie movies today. But back when this movie was made, we were dumb. We didn't know any of this stuff. The girl I took to see this movie, she puked when she first saw zombies eating people. Then she got up and she ran out of the theater, and I never saw her again. Well, I did run into her one time at the diner, and all she did was slap me and tell her friend I was a creep. Geez, Lacey, I didn't make the movie. All I did was pay for your ticket and some Raisinets, and that's how you thank me by running out on me in the middle of our date? Well, at least I got to sit there in peace and watch the rest of the movie and finish your Raisinets. But you know what? Watching this zombie movie sure is making me kind of hungry myself. Hey, you know what? I think Dr. Frankenjoe has some fresh cadavers down in his lab. Ooh, I sure could go for some fresh human flesh. Well, we're gonna have to go to another commercial break, but we'll be right back with more Night of the Living Dead. Stay tuned.
Hey, Mike! Going to the game? Oh, yeah. Maybe...
Joe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Hi, Betsy. How are you doing? What? Oh, no, sorry. I don't have any extra human arms that I could lend you for dinner. But you know what? I think there was a funeral yesterday, and so if you go down to the cemetery, you might be able to find something fresh. Oh, you got a letter for me? Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Oh yeah? Okay, well, bye. Good luck with dinner. Well, everyone, Betsy just dropped off this letter, so I guess I'll read it. It seems to be from a fan. Dear Mr. Monster, my name is Poppy Simmons, and I like monsters. I'm 9 years old. Can we be friends? Well, Poppy, well, I would love to be your friend. The last time that I became friends with a kid, we were playing Ring Around the Rosie, and I got spooked by a gust of wind and threw him into the quarry, so we might just be better off as pen pals. She continues, you always talk about how Dr. Frankenjoe made you, yes, but you also talk about things that happened when you were a little kid, like how your puppy only had 3 legs. Yeah, I remember that. Or how your dad yelled at you a lot. He did do that too, yes. How were you a little kid if Dr. Frankenjoe made you out of grown-up people's body parts? Poppy Simmons. Well, that's very observant of you, Poppy. And yes, I was made by Dr. Frankenjoe, even though I was built from the body parts of fully grown people. But I have had several brains over the years, and so sometimes I have residual memories from all the brains I've had. And that's where all my memories as a kid come from. So, oh, and Poppy did a drawing too. Oh, this is great. I love this one. Oh, let's take a look at this. Man, I look like a fancy model in this one. So thank you very much, Poppy. And I'm going to put this on the wall in the dungeon with all the other artwork. And this is going to have a special place because this is one of my favorites so far. So thank you. Oh, well, hey everyone, this movie's starting to get pretty good, so why don't we all grab some snacks and enjoy some more Night of the Living Dead. Oh, I gotta tune it in. Oh, there. Wow, jeez, he's dying. This is getting too bad here.
Gotta fix these boards. You're crazy. Those things are going to be at every window and door in this place.
We came in and found the lady upstairs dead. Then these other people came. We went down into the basement and put a bar across the door, and it is pretty strong.
Well, everyone, as usual, that Cooper guy is being a real jerk. And but what about his wife? She left their sick little girl down in the basement with that hippie girl. That hippie girl's probably down there smoking doobies or something instead of watching the sick little girl. Man, I hated hippies. They had a lot of talk about free love and all that, but none of those hippie girls ever wanted to go on a date with me. They just kept calling me a square. Probably because I was always all dressed up all suave in a suit and stuff, but there ain't nothing wrong with being a sophisticated, cool gentleman. I don't know, maybe they would have gone out with me if I had weirdo long hair and stopped washing my crotch. But I tell you what, when I went to New York and started going to the Apollo Theater, I sure did meet some classy ladies there, with clean feet too. And did you see that TV news nerd? Oh, what a Melvin. And he's talking about spaceships and stuff too. Come on, man, the dead are coming back to life. Nobody cares about your astronomy homework. And when all those news guys are hounding that general in Washington, D.C., one of those guys was the movie director, George Romero. He wasn't the guy with the hat on or the goofball with the big headphones. He was the really big fella who kept shoving the microphone in the guys' faces. Well, it looks like our survivors are starting to put a plan together. They're going to get that truck and get it all gassed up and head out to Willard, wherever that is. I heard it was only about 17 miles from there. Yeah, sure. We've all seen this movie a million times, so we know how this goes. But if you haven't seen it yet, or even if you have, why don't you stay tuned? Because after this epic commercial break, we're going to have more of Night of the Living Dead.
Water. Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
How could we possibly get away from here? We've got a sick child, 2 women.
I'd drag you out there and feed you those things.
Well, we heard more from the news nerd, and then he was interviewing some other total dweeb, and then Helen finally decided she was going to go down in the basement and check on the hippie girl and see how her sick daughter was doing. But you know, I actually think I might have been a little too hard on hippie girl. You know, she's not even really a hippie if you look at her, and she just seems like a really nice girl who's just scared and worried about her family. And her boyfriend with the white slacks with a t-shirt tucked in, he seems pretty nice too. Young love. But too bad, because they got turned into a couple of Kentucky Fried Rubes when their truck exploded. Why the heck was Mr. White Slacks spraying that gasoline all over the place? What a doofus. Doesn't he know how to use a gas pump? I mean, he told us he did. What a liar. Well, anyway, him and the girl blow it up real good, and they just became barbecue for the zombie party. And you know what? I think that calls for a little celebration of my own with one of Dr. Frankenjoe's patented crazy science drinks. Got one right down here he left for me. And let's see. All right, this looks interesting. Oh. What is that? What is the dirty dishwater? Oh, that jerk. Oh, he must really be mad at me for last week. I should have known he was going to try something like this. But you know, I guess they do kind of deserve it for leaving him in the lurch last week like that. Oh well, it looks like their whole plan turned into a big disaster and Ben's the only survivor. And that jerk Cooper almost got him ate up by the zombies because he wouldn't even open the door. I tell you what, I would have done more to that creep than just deck him a couple of times. But you know what? You better stay tuned after this commercial break, because it's going to be the shocking conclusion of Night of the Living Dead. So we'll see you in a few minutes. What? No, it's not really. It's a joke for the show, dummy. Hey, welcome back to Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Motorcycle, please. Let's go back there. That's the way. Hey, Randy, light these torches over here. We're in the back. We're in the back.
Well, that's it. But hey, in the end, at least we got to meet my favorite character in the whole movie, that ornery police chief guy who's leading the hillbilly zombie cleanup crew. I love it when they're interviewing him and he keeps yelling at people off camera and answering questions from people off camera. He's like, oh, get that zombie back on the fire. And somebody's like, and he's like, yeah, oh, tell him to get over on the other side of the road in the ditch. And then he says the best line in the whole movie. That news nerd, he's talking to him and he says, hey, are they slow moving? And he says, yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up. Burn them or beat them. They go up pretty easy. So then the zombies all start busting into the house, and Cooper double crosses Ben and he grabs the rifle. But then Ben clobbers them, takes the rifle back, and finally gives that Cooper exactly what he deserves, a belly full of lead. And then Cooper goes stumbling downstairs, and wouldn't you know it, well, all this hullabaloo's going on, his own daughter has died and turned into one of the undead. And then when Helen goes downstairs, she finds Karen chowing down on her own daddy's arm. And then little Karen does something really weird for a zombie. She grabs a cement trowel and stabs her mama to death. You know, the zombies in this movie are actually pretty smart. I mean, at the beginning, that guy was using a rock to break the car window, and then they used the rock to break the headlights, and then they were just smashing on the house with rocks. But they ain't as smart as the zombies in that new movie, Return of the Living Dead. That's the one with the punkers fighting the zombies. That one just came out a couple months ago. I had to drive all the way to Madison to see it. Anyway, the zombies in Return of the Living Dead could talk, and they even used the radio to call the cops and tell them to send more cops so they could eat those cops. I really like that movie, but I don't think we could show it on this show. We don't got the budget for that. So you're just going to have to go rent it or watch it on Cinemax or something. But back to this movie, Barbara goes up to try to help Ben keep the zombies out, and then the door breaks open, and wouldn't you know it, there's her brother Johnny there to save her. Just kidding. He's one of the undead zombies, and he's gonna eat the flesh from her bones. So that's that for Barbara. And then Ben's all alone, and little Karen comes up to see what all the ruckus is upstairs, and Ben just pushes her on the couch and heads down in the basement, locking the door up behind him. You know what? That Mr. Cooper was kind of right. If they had all gone down in the basement and stayed quiet, instead of staying upstairs and pounding on the windows and hollering at each other to attract all the zombies, they probably would have been fine until the hillbillies showed up in the morning. Or they could just do what I always think they should have done. Go upstairs and then tear up those dang steps. And then, or even better, you could just throw all the dressers and crap from upstairs down into the steps and fill that stairwell up with all that crap. Ain't no zombies getting through that kind of mess or climbing up from the outside. They can't climb that high. And then you're not stuck in some stupid basement or downstairs where the windows are boarded up and you could see what's going on out the upstairs windows. And then when the rescue comes, you can kind of wave at them. And then if anything happens and it all goes bad, you just climb out one of the windows and jump down and make a break for it. And then we get some fun shots of all the weirdo zombies come walking in, and they're just checking out the house, walking around looking at it. We got Henry the Perv. He died in his trench coat. Oh, there's Han Solo. Oh, there's confused Grandma Josie. She's not even a zombie. She just wandered away from the nursing home. And there's shirtless Joey. Even in life, he never wore a shirt, not even to church. And now everyone's dead except Ben down in the basement. And then in the morning when the hillbillies show up, instead of coming upstairs and waving and yelling, "Hey, there's a live person in here, dudes," he just starts creeping around real slow. So they see him through the window and they think, "Ooh, there's a dead guy in there, dudes." And then Vince, that crack shot, blows his brains out. The end. Well, not really the end, because during the closing credits, we get to see all these creepy photos of them dragging Ben's dead body out and throwing it onto a big pile where they're going to start him on fire. And guess who he winds up laying right next to? That creepy weirdo zombie that attacked Barbara at the very beginning of the movie. So, the last alive living character from the movie, except I guess the chief and the hillbillies and the news nerd. Probably a lot of other people, but anyways, he winds up laying on the fire pile right next to the dead again body of the first reanimated dead guy we ever saw in the movie. Well, that's some symbolism there, I tell you what. Well, anyways, I really love this movie, and I'm glad that we could all enjoy it together again tonight, and I hope you really liked it too. You know, it's almost like we should have showed this actual scary movie last week on Halloween instead of showing some weird movie about a beatnik artist who murders people. But what are you gonna do? I guess that's it for tonight's episode of Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show, and I will see you all next week for another episode. Have a good night, everybody. What? No, we couldn't show that. We could. Your uncle could not get us Return of the Living Dead. You knucklehead. What's wrong with you? It just came out a couple months ago. We could not afford it anyways, even if he could get it for us. We can't even afford those cheap knockoff Italian zombie movies that they make. Well, no, Dusty told me at the video store, he told me that, Hell of the Living Dead, I think he said, that was pretty good. I don't know. Oh, shut up. He could? Are you serious he could get us it? Your uncle could get us Return of the Living Dead. Sorry. Well, tell him to try if you can. I'd love to show it on the show. Oh, yeah. This is actually pretty good. I don't know what they mixed in this to make it cloudy, but it's not bad. Flour? That's weird. You think it would just get all thick and weird. Oh yeah! Woo! I don't want to throw this. We need this.
WLQL.